Welcome. We'll get started shortly. Before we begin, here's how to earn continuing professional education credit for attending this session. There are no polling questions or attendance checks. Instead, you will demonstrate your knowledge by taking a brief multiple-choice quiz using the Earmark app. Visit earmark.app in your web browser. You can also download the mobile app by scanning the QR code on the screen. Log in, or if you're new, create your free account. Be sure to use a valid email address because that's where we'll send your course completion certificates. From the home screen, scroll down to find the course. You can also tap the magnifying glass icon to search for the course. Tap on the course artwork, then the Enroll button. On the Course tab, you'll find the recording and quiz questions. Complete the quiz to earn your CPE certificate. It takes us a few days to create the course on the app, so if you are attending this session live, please wait a few days. We'll email you a link to the course when it is ready. If you have questions or need help, email us at support@earmarkcpe.com. And now, on to the event. Buckle up, accountants. It's time for another Earmark Expo where we're taking the latest accounting tech for a test drive. Here's how it works. We're going to floor it with a live demo of a game-changing app. David Leary, my co-host, and I are in the driver's seat. I'm Blake Oliver. We're going to put this app through its paces, and we're going to ask the tough questions that every accountant wants to know the answers to. And you're along for the ride. We want you, our live audience, to help us navigate. Ask your own questions in the chat. We'll highlight them for Ryan to answer. This is your chance to see cutting-edge accounting tech in action, get your questions answered in real time, and gain insights that could transform your practice. So take a seat and let's roll with today's Earmark Expo.
And Blake, obviously with my background of QuickBooks and small business, I know zero about audit. I don't know anything about it. I don't know audit workflows. I actually Googled what, is it PBC? I actually Googled that this morning just to.
Prepared by clients?
Yeah, I didn't know what that means, right? So I learned a little bit there. But I'm looking for today's app because it's used to manage audit workflows. So hopefully I'll learn a little bit today. But did you ever do audit when you were a CPA? Well, I mean, you're still a CPA, but when you were working at firms?
I got licensed in California where you don't have to do audit in order to become a CPA. So I never did it. I was always in outsourced accounting. And while we worked with the auditors to get them what they needed, putting together those PBC lists, David, that was my job. I have not been on the other side. So I'm really eager to see this solution and talk to Ryan today.
But you went up to the ladder a little bit, slightly bigger firms, right?
Yes, I ended my public accounting career at a top 25 firm.
So how did you, when you interacted with those audit teams, how were you managing those documents and workflows? Excel?
It was a lot of email.
A lot of email, okay.
A lot of emails. We'd put stuff into shared drives. Often I would have to create like a folder on a network drive or in what did we use when we were on Microsoft? SharePoint, not my favorite.
Oh, boy.
That was, yeah, Ryan is nodding his head there.
Yeah.
Sometimes I would just go outside the system and use Google Drive because that was easier. But yeah, it was not easy. It was not convenient. The list I got was in Excel, and I would have to fill that out and make sure I had everything, and often I would not. And there would be lots and lots of back and forth asking for documents, and I felt like I was doing the work of the auditors. Honestly, like it felt like I'm like, why? What is your job exactly? I never asked that because that would be, impolite, but I thought it.
Great.
So hopefully Ryan here will show us something that's slightly better than my solution that I came up with 10 years ago. I've heard a lot about Suralink, and I'm excited to see it. So Ryan Smith, welcome to Earmark.
Yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate you having me. Blake, well, I think you teed it up perfectly because that's the exact problem that our founder had when he was a CPA. And he's like, I am so sick of all this back and forth and emails and Excel spreadsheets and shared drives or whatever, right? And that's really where Suralink came out of, was trying to solve that problem, trying to improve the experience for him, but for the clients as well. I think that was an important part of it too.
Right. Client experience is everything these days. We've been taught that, well, I would say that all of these apps that we use now, like Amazon for example, have just like leveled up our expectations in terms of customer experience and being able to do things easily. So, yeah, I'm really curious to learn more about Suralink and oh, there it is. You've got PBC right there on the screen,
There you
the
go.
leading PBC solution for CPAs. Tell
Yeah,
me.
I guess I should have defined that in the slide here for you, David. Sorry about that, but yeah. Um, so yeah, Suralink is the leading provided by client solution in the industry. So, we have over 1,100 clients that we serve with over 6,500 client users. So, I guess I always call them our customers, or usually the CPA firms, and of course they've got clients, right? And so, we've been around since 2014, used by 60% of the top 200 CPA firms as their client collaboration portal. So,
And there's my old firm, Armanino, right there
there you
on
go.
the
Oh
list.
yeah.
That's where I was a manager. So they've
I love
adopted the
Armanino.
tech.
Yep. I love Armanino. They're one of our first firms to come on, and boy, we sure love that firm. And
They probably
of
saw
course,
what
all of our
Blake was
others,
doing
but
and realized
yeah.
they got to change it.
Cool. Well, and so as I kind of talk to how, we have all of those firms and clients, we have a really unique perspective in the industry to the challenges that are out there right now and how we can help solve some of those. So not only are we, really the portal's working with the CPA firms, but it's working with their clients as well. And so, like I said, we've got that really unique view. Just kind of going through a few things to tee up the demo to give everybody an understanding of again, a deeper understanding of why Suralink is what it is and why we do what we do. It's clear to us that CPA firms are increasingly facing pressure from all sides. The industry is at an unprecedented time of change and evolving, and firms are having to find new ways to differentiate. So one of the big things that we've noticed is that realization rates are very challenging in the industry. They always have been, and they still are to this day. There's obviously talent shortage that's, making efficiency really necessary for survival. And Blake, you mentioned client experience is increasing. I love that you mentioned that. In a previous life, I worked at a company that did customer experience feedback. And that was something we talked about a lot, was how experiences you're having outside of your normal channel can be affecting, the experience you're having. So yeah, a positive experience with an Amazon app, could affect the thoughts that your clients have working with the software that you use at your firm. So
Yeah.
there's other softwares in the industry, but any software they're interacting with.
And when you're an audit firm providing audits, right, the audit, the end result is fairly similar across firms. So how do you differentiate yourself?
Exactly right.
The relationship you have with that client. Other than competing on fees, which I think we agree we don't want to have to do given those realization challenges that you mentioned.
Yeah, that's right. Well, and to dive just a little bit deeper into that, we actually went out and did a study on this, and we saw that work still remains to be highly manual, really inefficient. Firms are still reliant on a lot of legacy software, and there's a lot of gaps in client readiness. So we found that about 30% of engagements fail to be on time and on budget. So again, leading back to those low realization rates, team frustration, burnout. Like you teed that up perfect with that.
Yeah, that's a lot. 30% of engagements don't make their budget or
right?
aren't on time. That is a lot.
Yeah.
Well, we can do better.
Yeah. Well, and the other side of it too, again, talking to that client experience, look, clients are facing the same challenges. And by the way, the clients, it's not their full-time job to work on these engagements. They just have to do it in addition to their normal job. So you can imagine how frustrated clients get if things are taking long and they're not clear on what they need to provide. And so there's all that confusion out there leading to a poor client experience, and the communication piece of it too. Like, we don't even need to get into that, but I think, like, the communication can be really frustrating.
Oh yeah. I mean, I would lose track of threads. Sometimes we would have one big email thread for everything. And sometimes we would have an email thread for every single item, and both had disadvantages.
Right.
One was I'm buried in my inbox now because of all these different emails. And the other is I don't really remember as the client what I've provided and what I still need to provide. And yeah, it's just, we don't need more of that.
Well, then your Excel spreadsheet that's out of date the second you send it to them to try to provide some sort of status update, right? So
Yep.
yeah, it's crazy. So look, Suralink, we really help solve those biggest challenges, right? We're a key part of that we can help solve for the firm. So our best in class portal enables teams to get the right documents on time from their clients. So when firms start using Suralink, they'll immediately see an increase in team engagement, efficiency, client engagement, and efficiency. And really, kind of, we already mentioned this, but helps differentiate them from other firms in the industry. So, and the other thing that I'll point out too, is Blake, you mentioned like, hey, I went out of pocket and used Google Drive because that was easier, right? This helps maintain the security and compliance objectives at a firm, keeps things out of email, out of other platforms, and keeps all that secure, everything within the secure platform. So last thing I'll mention here before we jump into is that, like, look, Suralink, we believe, is the single best investment that a CPA firm can make to enable their teams to be more engaged, get everything done on time, get the documents on time. We have the industry's highest ROI as reported by users like yourself that, we're doing things differently in the past or using other platforms for this. They've reported a 40% increase or 40% time savings using Suralink versus what they were doing before. And if I came in and said, hey, I'm going to save you 40% of your time, what would you do with that other 40% of your time? Think of everything else you could do. You're not working late hours. You might still be during busy season a little bit, but it's definitely not going to be as painful, right? So we're going to not only improve that employee experience, but we're going to improve it for the clients as well.
And I imagine just getting the documents you need on the auditor side earlier decompresses that audit workload.
Yeah.
I think that was always the problem, is I would procrastinate on doing my PBC list.
Well, and look, as everything is consolidated into one platform, other teams can utilize that as well. So, the tax team can go in and grab documents that the audit team has already gathered, making the firm look like an actual cohesive unit, even though, departments tend to work pretty siloed. Suralink can actually help firms look more cohesive and again, less annoying for the clients. So.
And it looks
like,
can
we jump into the demo?
Yeah, I was going to say, you have it voted easiest to use and modern and innovative. So I'm kind of like, prove it. Let's see the demo.
Perfect. Okay. Well, let's jump into the application here. So really, we have this foundation of like a very simple and easy to use interface that presents all the relevant information you need on, just a couple pages. So there are a number of pages in Suralink. There's like an admin page and a team page where you can administer all your team members, give them the right team, department, and role. But we won't go into any of that today. I just really want to focus on, some of that really core value that people are getting out of Suralink. So this is what we call the clients page. This is where all of the clients at the firm are going to reside. So I can see all of my recently viewed clients. I can organize clients into different departments or different offices. I kind of have that set up here in this scenario where, like, a larger firm might set them up into multiple offices and to kind of keep the clients separated there. But it all stays very organized. You're able to search. One of the other great features is if I'm a manager and I can see, a large number of clients, I can also filter down just to see, say clients that I'm assigned to that I'm actually working on. So there's a lot of time efficiency just by the organization of the application itself to be able to get to where you need to, when you need to. On this page, you'll notice this is within one client. And the client we're going to look at today is Spark Industries. So this is my client I'm working with. And
what is that key icon next to the client?
Good question. So this is, like I mentioned, managers might be able to see a lot of engagements or maybe even all the clients within the system. If you've got a sensitive client that like only the assigned team members should see, that's what that key indicates, that only the assigned team members would be able to have access to that. So there are a lot of different levels of permissioning within Suralink so that people can only see what they should be enabled to see, right? So that's one of those there.
And that's super important when you're an audit firm and you're trying to maintain confidentiality and then also follow all the rules for independence. You can't have team members outside of a certain engagements able to see the work papers or the
Exactly.
financials. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
And having a visual is huge because then you don't have to, did I set up the security on that? Did I set up the permissions? And you're going back into the permissions, looking at it. Now it's just, you always know you've taken the time to set up the proper permissions for that client.
Yep.
So this might be used for like the public company clients.
That's right. Exactly.
Got it.
Yeah. And by the way, you can also set permissions for your client users. So you can see here within this client, I've got active engagements, any reports that I've sent out. So kind of those final deliverables, tax returns, audit reports, everything can go out through there, as well as all the clients that are assigned here. So client users and team members that are assigned to work with this client. But with the clients, you can actually manage their access as well. So you can see I can limit their access to which engagements they see. You'll see this when I pull up this client user's view. This is Tony Spark, my client user. You'll see he only has 4 engagements, but there are actually more of those there. So if this individual at the company shouldn't see some of the engagements, we can turn those off. Same thing with the reports. So we got a lot of ability to, make sure the right people see the right things and they're not seeing inappropriate things. So not inappropriate, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Just what they need to see based on their position in the company.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So I kind of mentioned, I think the real heart of Suralink is within the engagement section. So all of the engagements that you have going on with any of your clients will be right here in the interface. So you can see I've got a number of sample engagements that we've loaded up here that we can take a look at. Let's jump into one of these. And I'll give you an idea of, maybe what some of these colors and icons are as we jump into our engagements page. You can see we move over here to the engagements page. Of course, we've got some drop-down navigation. You can easily jump to different clients and engagements within the system. But here on the engagements page is really what you would think of as your PBC list. But it's not just a PBC list. It's the PBC list and the file portal all tied up into one easy-to-use interface. Everything here is meant to improve efficiency, to keep people on track. And, kind of up here at the top, we've got this summary overview of everything. We can expand this a little bit and show the percent of how we're progressing on this engagement. The different colors, just so that everyone's familiar, if it's this kind of gray or light blue color, it's an outstanding request that no one has touched yet. If the client has filled it, it'll be yellow. If we needed to return it to the client because they provided incomplete information, we can return it. We purposely don't call it rejected because that seems a little harsh. So we use returned here. And then, of course, if we got what we needed for this, we mark it as accepted. One of the funny things that we've really found is that, having this process and kind of these colors and icons readily available throughout the application is it really kind of gamifies this process of gathering documents from your clients. They get excited to turn all those boxes yellow. They get excited when everything starts to turn green. It's like, hey, we're almost done with this thing. Like, again, no one enjoys this process really, but it helps gamify and I dare say it makes it a little bit more fun than it would have been before because, hey, we're seeing progress. Everything here updates in real time. The client view, again, I'll show you that here in a little bit, but the client view and the firm view are the same, especially on this page. The clients just don't have as much functionality, but the view is the same. So we're on the same page at all times in real time. All right, so let me talk a little bit about the request list and kind of how the process goes here between the firm and the client user, right? I haven't gone through the process of like setting these up, but there are a number of ways that they can set up these request lists. Suralink is very easy to get started with. We import your client list and then we can go ahead and help get your templates for your PBC list into the system as well. So, once you've got clients in there, you can create new engagements. You've got a number of ways that you can populate the PBC list in Suralink. The first is you can import it from Excel. So if you've got an Excel file that you've been using and you just want to import that in, you can do that. But like I said, we'll help get their templates in the system and you can clone from there. So, I've got my template section here. I can come in and grab whichever template the firm has set up for me. So
and does Suralink provide me any templates out of the box?
there are a few templates out of the box, but we've really found that, obviously firms have been doing this for a long time. They've been working with their clients prior to using Suralink. So that's where we tend to see like, hey, you've got your Excel file. Let's go ahead and import that in, get it in the template section. And then you don't have to worry about losing all those Excel files, the templates you've had in the past, and you can just populate it from there. One of the nice things is you don't have to just, use a template. You can actually grab any engagement that you're currently working on with maybe another client. So as you are working with another client, maybe you've tweaked that PBC list from the template the firm provided and say, actually, this one works better. Let me go grab that template from another client. It'll strip out all the sensitive information from the other client, and you can just use that to populate your list. So a lot of efficiency there. And, oh, by the way, as you are working with a client and modifying things for their specific needs, you just roll them forward for the next year. And, I can show you that as well. But, we're not always having to come back and rely on these templates. That roll forward process really helps improve the efficiency and helps the clients with some consistency as well.
When you do that roll forward, are they able to see what they did last year to help them
along? Yeah, that's a great question. So we'll roll it forward into a new engagement. And it's very easy. You just kind of click a button to roll forward, update the name and anything you want there, and you can roll the engagement forward. You can keep things like firm provided files in there. If you have like some example docs or things that you share with them, you can keep all of that, as well as assign some permissions. I'll talk about that shortly too.
Oh, so if I have the same client users at the client, they can get assigned the same stuff next year. I don't have to figure out who's going to give that to me again.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and Blake, you probably didn't know who it needed to be assigned to. So what we found is the clients actually are the ones that are going in and making those assignments.
Oh, I love
at Suralink, we do a SOC 2 audit every year, right?
Yep.
And our CTO, we've got, 150 some odd requests in the list. I have 4 things that I need to cover on that. And so, if they can go in and assign those out to me, and I can just pare that list down into a really manageable state. So being able to roll those forward is a big time savings, because again, the audit firm's not going to know which ones to assign to which person. It's more the client's going to know that. So the ability to do that saves a lot of time. But to answer your question, Blake, is we've got an archive section as well. So, you can take any of these engagements once you're done with them, archive them. That'll put them in a read-only state. And to show just a little bit here, when we archive, the firm has some options to kind of keep in policy with their data retention rules, right? So if they do want to remove the client's access, they can do that. They can permanently delete the client files, the firm files, and remove all the comments in case there's sensitive information in there as well. We find that a lot of firms don't necessarily check all of these for, until the next cycle is completed, and then they'll go through and purge any of that sensitive data.
Yep.
So
that's great. I can create an archive version that just has what the client prepared, so they can have access to that and see what they did last year and go pull that work paper and update it for me. I feel like that would save a lot of time.
It saves so much time. And like, number one, I'll tell you from personal experience doing that SOC 2 audit, I don't go ask the firm like, hey, what do I need to provide here? I don't remember what I gave you last year. What do you need? I just go look at it and I see what I provided. Oh yeah, I took this screenshot of this, or I pulled this document from here. Like, I just go self-serve, and I genuinely don't even really talk to them. I just go and do it, load it in, and I'm done. And it doesn't take me long at all. Again, I don't have a lot to do there, but the efficiency for me and the efficiency for them is huge.
That's great.
Yep. Okay. So hopefully that gives you a good idea that, like, hey, it's really easy to just grab that PBC list that you need. We have the inactive state as well. This is a great state to put it in when you're trying to make some tweaks to maybe a template to set it up and get it really client ready. I always recommend, set them up as inactive first, make the tweaks and changes you need, and then make it active for the client so they can see it. So when you do activate an engagement here, the client will get a notification saying, hey, you've got an engagement available in Suralink, and they can log in and view that engagement. So let me take you through that workflow a little bit of how it works between a firm and a client. Okay. So let me pull in my client view here. If I can pull it in. Oh, me.
We can turn off the screen share too if you need to reorganize windows.
No, I think it's just this is in full screen mode. Let me kill the presentation. I think that's what's doing it. No?
You get dragging around those Chrome tabs can be a little tricky sometimes.
Yeah.
So you're saying, so right now we're looking at the firm view, and you're going to show us what the client sees.
That's
and you
right.
said it's very similar.
That's right. Okay, here we go. Sorry.
No worries.
I had this all squared away, but perfect. Okay.
Here
So the green border indicates that we're looking at the client view.
Oh, that is really helpful. That is always good. Yes.
Otherwise, well, is that something that is a part of Suralink, or is this something you're only doing for the demo?
I'm just doing it for the demo. Just again, to point out that like the view is very similar. So, you know, I don't want to confuse the people that are watching this to say, oh, am I looking at the firm view or the client view? Because they are just so very similar, which we do on purpose. So that, again, everybody's on the same page. They're seeing essentially the same thing. So anyway, so hopefully that helps, you know, in the presentation here, you can see with the green border is my client user. So really as a client user, I can come in. Of course, I've got this clients page as well. Like I mentioned, see, he only sees 4 of those engagements, even though there were more that existed. Only got some of the reports available here. The clients can also see the other members at their company who have access to Suralink. You can actually assign them as administrators so they can add and remove some of the other members from their team. So the auditors, you know, the CPAs don't need to worry about inviting all of the people at the company that need to work in Suralink. They can self-administer some of that as well. And then, of course, they can see the account team that is assigned at the firm. So we'll jump back into this audit engagement I have going on. You can see this is obviously one that's in process. We've got some of the updates and things going on here, but really it's just a simple process for the clients. They're going to come in, they'll read the title and description provided by the firm. That's one of the nice things that we've really found with Suralink is because people tended to use Excel in the past, a lot of the descriptions of information they needed was really minimal. You know, enough to fit on a small line in an Excel sheet. And so that tended to lead to a lot of questions by the clients like, I don't know what you're asking for here. Like, help me out. So, you know, we've got this section where there's a title, which is kind of your traditional title that you might have had in an Excel sheet, but you've got a full description that you can provide as well. So, you know, you can see there's a lot of space here to provide a really detailed description. And we find that firms that provide really detailed descriptions tend to have less back and forth with the clients, which again improves that efficiency, right?
And could I put like an HTML link in here if I want to make a Loom video and like link to a video?
Yeah, you could put a link in there, and they probably need to copy it and paste it, but okay. Yeah, they absolutely would be able to do that. That's a good call out. So one of the things that I'll mention here, I always like to kind of use a real use case scenario where, you know, let's say I need to upload the payroll information, right? And one of the problems that I'm going to have is, you know, so I'm Tony Spark here. These other users at my company should not see all the payroll information, right? So what I can do is I can actually come in and assign this request to myself, and then I can lock the request. So now I am the only one that will have any access to any of the information uploaded here. So I can then go from there and take my document, and I'll just grab a general file, just drag and drop. I can drop it either on the request row here or anywhere in the side panel, and that's going to upload the document into the system. So you can see the document is now appeared here. I can also, if I have any questions or you know, need to ask anything from the firm, we've got a comment section. And one of the great things about Suralink, and Blake, you mentioned this, is sometimes you have a thread, an email thread for one request, and sometimes you've got like a master email that just turns into, I'm sure, absolute chaos in no time.
Yeah, it's like, see my comments in red below, and then it's right. Every single comment and every single reply, and then you run out of colors.
Yes, exactly. I've seen it
Yeah.
too many times. And
Yeah.
and that's one of the great things about Suralink is each request has its own comment section. So if a comment is left on a request, we can see it right here. We can see the little comment bubble. It'll take us here to the comments where we can, have that conversation. So it's a pretty, standard chat type of application within the system here. I always like to say, if you can text someone, you can use the chat functionality in here, right? It's not so overly complex that it's causing problems for some of the older folks that you might be doing their taxes and some of those things that we hear. It's very simple, very intuitive. So even the clients just pick up on this so quickly. The interface, the layout, everything is just very intuitive to the work that they need to complete. So
this would be a chat between my firm and the client. Now, can the firm members have chats that the clients can't see, like in the firm view?
Yeah, so they would need to create a request and kind of lock the client out of that to have a request or an individual internal conversation. But David, that's actually a great point, because that is something we've been hearing from our firms and is a feature that we're going to be working on in 2025 to not only, improve the ability for firms to have internal conversations, but to also to, kind of boost this chat functionality as well, and just make it even easier to communicate with the clients. So as simple as it is now, we do see some enhancements that we can get in here that'll help the efficiency.
Great.
So you can see here. So again, I marked this one as I locked it, I signed myself, and I uploaded the document. Now, I didn't do anything. It automatically moved the request state to that fulfilled. You can see the yellow exclamation mark or the yellow box here. It marked it as fulfilled for me. So the firm can now come in, and we'll refresh the page here. We'll be able to see that, yes, this is now marked as fulfilled. We've got the document here, and I've actually got some notifications that are starting to come in. So that's another question I always get is like, hey, how am I going to know what the client has done? What do I need to go look at? What changes have happened in the system? So we've got this engagement timeline in here that just everything that's happened in chronological order is available right here. And I can even click on the titles, or I can download the files from here. So if I'm, say somewhere else in the list down here at the bottom, I'm working on something else, I can just click here. It'll take me directly to that part of the list. I can grab, review the documents. If everything's good, mark it as accepted, right? So very efficient, easy to use. We've also got filters here. This is one of those kind of hidden gems, if you will, that people tend to really love when they kind of learn about it, is that like, hey, I want to just see the comments my clients have left and go through and comment back to them. So I can click through, comment, leave them a comment back, jump to the next one, leave them a comment. So I'm never missing comments that are left by my clients. I'm never missing, files that are uploaded. And, the other cool thing here is within each request, I've got a full audit trail of everything that's happened. So those assignments that are made, the comments that are left, if the client uploaded or downloaded a document, I can see all of that. Literally everything that happens, I've got a full audit trail of this engagement, both what the firm has done and what the client has done. Now, I will point out one nuance here. We do hide the downloads from the clients. We hide so the clients don't know that the firm has downloaded the files yet. We tend to find that if they know that the firm has downloaded files, they tend to start bugging them like, hey, I saw you downloaded this. Where are we at on it? So they're kind of pull that away so that the firm can operate a little bit under their own timeline without the clients being exposed to a little bit too much there. So again, another efficiency gain there.
So really, so it's time for me, I start my day, I have to do work. I can go to the comments, I can work through it that way, or I can just visually see everything that's yellow is something that the ball's in my court. I need to focus on my yellow boxes.
Absolutely. And in fact, that's what I always recommend is filter this list down. So we've got these filters up at the top, filter it down to just the requests that are fulfilled by the client. So now I can quickly work through this list.
Much more manageable now that you've done that.
Oh yeah. Well, and like I was saying with the SOC 2 audit we do and the assignments, I'm only assigned 4 requests. So this is what it would look like for me, right? This is the full request list. Like, oh man, this could be really daunting to deal with. But at one click of a button, these are the things I need to deal with. Very easy to do. Just makes it easy on the client users if you can, if you get those assignments and everything in place. And then again, you can roll forward those assignments. We've been doing that for the last 4 years. I've worked here at Suralink, and every year I just go in and I'm assigned and good to go. So, David, you brought up a good point. Like, hey, this gives me a good view of what I need to do. And yeah, if I'm in this one engagement, it gives me a good view of what I need to accomplish here. But guess what? I'm probably working on quite a few clients, quite a few engagements at the same time. So we've actually got a dashboard. So as a firm user, when I first log in, this is probably where I'm going to go. I'm going to come hit this dashboard, and it's going to show me by default, all of the engagements and clients that I'm assigned to. I can create on my own custom dashboard. So if I want to see just all of the tax engagements that are in the system that I'm assigned to, hey, I can see those really easily as well. Or maybe it's another team member. I'm a manager and I want to see all of Steve's assignments, for example. Okay, yep. Now I can see all of the engagements that Steve's assigned to. Okay, there's some unread information here. I can go and kind of see, what's going on, what they're working on, what they need help with, those types of things. So, and again, you can just jump directly to the engagement from here. So, okay, look, I've got the 4 notifications here. Let me just jump straight to that. And then I can view those notifications and get to work. So really easy to navigate around the application, really easy to know what exactly has changed and what you need to work on. So in addition to that, dashboard and the notification pane here in the system, we also utilize an email notification system that goes out on a daily basis. So you can receive a daily digest email, and I'll just show you an example of what that looks like. And this goes out once a day, but anytime that a team member wants to grab those notifications, they can just come in, they can say, oh, there's been 8 new notifications since the last time I got this email. Go ahead and send that off to me right now. And so I can check that out, right? So let me pull that up here so you can see. Oh, that actually might be going to one of my users that isn't tied to my email. But all right, so sorry about that.
That's okay.
But it is just going to show you that information in your email, so that essentially you're going to come log in, review the information in your engagement timeline, and then mark things read or unread from there. So,
and do these emails? These are internal emails. Do you also send emails out to the clients? Because that's always dangerous. You send an email, then they just reply to that email, and you get in this dance, and now you're stuck in email again.
Yeah. Luckily, the clients do receive an email as well that shows them anything that the firm has updated. So they'll say, hey, they marked things as returned. So, oh, shoot, okay, they returned that. I need to go back in and fix the information, or that they left a comment as well. So the clients will receive that email. It doesn't they can't reply back to it. It doesn't go back to the firm or anything. So they will need to log into the app, and then they can communicate with them in there. But one of the other great things about this digest email is, as you can imagine, there's a lot happening across multiple clients. And, if we were to send like real-time notification emails out, it'd be a lot. So we do it on a daily basis. However, we do know that there are scenarios where a firm is getting close to the end of a deadline, right? And I need to know when that client uploads that last document I'm waiting for. And so you can actually come in and escalate your notifications. So now I'm going to get pinged in pretty much near real time. We do it every 10 minutes at this point with this one. And so I can change my notification setting that way. And the great thing is that's just for this one engagement. I'm not escalating it for everything else that I'm working on, every other client I'm working on. I'm really focused in on this one engagement. I need to get those real-time notifications. I can go in and escalate those notifications so I can get things when I want them with the information that I want. So
this is great, Ryan. Can you bring that screen back up?
Yeah, of course.
Because I think that's always the problem. I always turn off notifications on everything because
Right.
I get too many emails. But
Yes.
this lets me, if I know there's one project I need to know about, I can just basically set that one. It's on fire. notify me for that only, but all the other engagements I don't have to be notified about.
Yep, exactly. Well, and one of the nice things too is we do allow you to manage your notifications by department. So these are, again, the individual notifications for me, but like, look, I'm not in the Chicago office or the New York office or the St. Louis office. I'm just going to turn those off. I probably wouldn't have been assigned to anything there anyway, but even if I had been, right, I can just turn those off. I'll never get notifications about them. So you've got an easy way to come in and modify bulk your bulk kind of settings, as well as go down into the granular level of those notifications too. Okay, well, hopefully that gives you a good idea of just a quick workflow between, a client logging in, uploading a document, the status automatically changes, and then, is marked as fulfilled. Of course, if I returned it, we can have that conversation in the comment section like we talked about, but the workflow is very intuitive for both parties. Now, a couple other features that I wanted to call out, we do have an option for e-signature now, as well as we'll be releasing 8879 KBA for 8879s here in a couple weeks. So just like any kind of e-signature application that you're used to, you'll be able to grab signature from your client. So we'll just upload this sample 8879. We can assign up to 5 people to be signers, both externally at the client or internally if we have a team member. So if we need to co-sign it or countersign it, we can do that as well. So we can add, up to 5 signers here. And then, like I say, just like any other e-signature application, you can drag your signature blocks on and date signed and switch over to, the other users, do the same for them and get that all lined up and send that off. The clients will receive an email letting them know, hey, you've got a signature to sign. They'll receive that email immediately. Doesn't wait for the daily digest on that one. It's going to go out immediately. They'll be able to log in, sign the document, and we can see here the e-signature file that it's in a pending state right now. And of course, there are different actions you can take as you'd imagine. But so we do have the option for e-signature right within the engagement here now. So, whether you need to send out, like they say, that 8879 for taxes, or, you want to send an engagement letter, or just really any document that you need to get signed, you can do it just natively within Suralink now.
So great interface for clients, easy interface for me as the employee or the firm employee to do work. But what about a partner or managers? How do they see what's happening at the firm overall? Do you have reports?
Yeah, absolutely.
Dashboards?
Yeah, so that goes back to this client dashboard, right? They can log in, they can see what's going on here, and so that's what some of these options up here at the top. They can see how many engagements are out there, and these widgets are definitely customizable as well. There's an option to go in and customize those. In fact, you can see as I change my view, some of those widgets are changing. So there are a lot of different options there. So really, as you set up these specific views, you could do it like as an office view. So a partner in an office that wants to see everything that's going on in an office, that could be set up, and these are shareable. These dashboards are shareable across to whoever you need to share them to. So when you have those individuals that are logging in, they're able to see the information that's relevant to them, essentially. Okay, how are we doing on time here?
We've got about 10 minutes left.
Perfect.
We could do more if we need to. Well, I have some questions like client training, right?
Yes.
Now, this is fairly intuitive for me, but I could see this being a very new experience for a lot of clients, especially those who have not used one of these types of platforms before. So how do we get them up to speed so that I, as the auditor, am not spending a bunch of time teaching them how to use this?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's an onboarding email that they will receive that contains some onboarding information. There's a full knowledge base and tutorials that we provide specific for the clients, because the client view is much simpler than the firm. They can't like add requests or change due dates or any of those types of things. But we do provide an introduction when they first log on. So we found that actually this is very simple but very effective when they first log in to show them what exactly they need to do. We show them what a request is, all the information within the request. We show them what the colors and icons mean, so they're kind of up to speed with exactly what those are. We show them how easy it is to add a file, just to drag and drop or click the paperclip icon to upload a document from their computer. And then just all the information and the details, right? The descriptions and the assignments and the attached files, as well as comment section from there. And then, of course, where to get additional help, right? So they can come down here to the footer of the application and get those additional resources from the knowledge base or tutorials. So, that's the pretty simple and basic client onboarding that is within the application that, again, we found works really well in conjunction with, say the firm might send out a client user guide. Within the tutorials here, there's a user guide that they can grab. There's a client tutorial PDF as an example, a few videos that they can watch, some things like that. But honestly, for the most part, that simple presentation when they first log in gets them what they need to
That
get
does
started.
it.
Mm-hmm.
How long does the typical implementation take of Suralink?
Yeah, that's one of those things that has been really surprising to me, just how easy it is to implement. So, of course, depending on the size of the firm and complexity that they want to take with the application, if they want to set up a bunch of automations through our API, automating those roll forwards, automating the creation of clients, automating the assignment of team members, all of that can be done through our API. And we have a lot of firms that are doing that. But, of course, this is just as good for small firms, individual practitioners. But the onboarding is just as simple as they log in the first time, set up any kind of security permissions on the My Firm tab there that we have, and then adding their clients into the system and engagement. So, we've set up a firm that's, 500 user firm. We've set up in about a week and a half.
Wow.
Got all their clients imported, got their team members imported, templates in there. They create the engagements and they're rolling from there, right? And then they invite the clients in. And what we found is we get everything set up for the firm. And then as they're ready to interact with the clients, the auditors or, the CPA will basically go in and invite those client users when they're ready to work with them in the application. So, but it can be
what kind of training do you provide to the staff?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do about an hour and a half training. So we've both got a webinar based training that we provide, as well as you could get one of our CSMs to come and do a training with the firm, depending on the size of the firm. Some of the really large firms will space trainings out, do multiple trainings over certain times to make sure that they get what they need trained. But we do about an hour and a half training. We focus on best practices within the application to really get them up to speed quick on how they can get the most efficiency out of using Suralink. So we'll focus on a lot of those best practices. Like, for example, if you return a request to a client, make sure to leave them a comment so that they know exactly why you've returned it, or, how they can send out like status updates and some of those things to their clients.
So I have a question, Ryan. So obviously you showed us audit workflows. You've mentioned you're using internally for a SOC workflow. What other workflows firms are using this for?
Yeah, really, anytime they need to gather documents from the client is where they're using it. One thing I didn't show was a simple secure file sharing application that we have that allows to share files simply through email. So if, it's like a really simple tax engagement, for example, like, hey, I don't need the full request list here. We've got an option where the clients can just upload those into secure file sharing, and they will come to the auditor the CPA, and they can just take care of it from there. So really any engagement that you need to gather documents in an organized manner from your client. So, audit, tax, and consulting, we see those use cases across the board, across the firm. They're really trying to use Suralink as that one client portal where, the client can upload any of their documents that the firm needs. So a lot of corporate tax engagements are done in Suralink. We see a lot of efficiency gain there. They're a lot more complex than a lot of those individual engagements. So we do see a lot of corporate tax.
And is the implementation, the training, is that included in the price for Suralink? How do you price it?
Yeah, for sure. In fact, why don't I pull up my screen here and show that from our corporate website if you want to share the screen. So the way that pricing works for Suralink is, we got a couple plans, and really the two plans are standard and professional. Within the standard package, you're able to attend that webinar-based training, and under the professional, you'll have an assigned customer success manager and be able to customize that implementation and training plan. So there, depending on the plan and that you purchase, depends on the type of onboarding you get. But the webinar-based training is actually done by the same CSMs that are training on the professional plan. And we do it on a weekly basis. You can log on and still ask the same questions. So just like if you had the professional plan, you've still got access to that individual. We just schedule it. You just need to join the time that we have it scheduled versus trying to customize it a little bit more, for a larger organization. So that's still, very effective and get all the questions and everything you need answered from there.
Gotcha. And the pricing for Suralink, is that custom? Is it a range? Like, what can you tell me?
Yeah. So it's definitely custom based on the size of firm. So, on our standard plan, again, depending if you add secure file sharing, that can be added as an add-on. So secure file sharing can be a standalone. If you just need a simple email type, secure email sharing platform, you can buy that separate, but you can also bundle that in with the standard or professional plan. And so, pricing on like a standard would be around $29 per seat. And then, of course, going up to professional could be more, but obviously depending on the number of users, we would work with you on the pricing there.
And you mentioned that there's a lot of larger firms using Suralink. Is it also a good fit for small CPA firms doing maybe a handful of audits?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I mentioned, we've got a large number of individual practitioners that use this just because it saves them so much time from, with the communication with their client, the back and forth with trying to send like a status update to the client. We've just found even individual practitioners get a ton of use out of Suralink. So any firm, any size, it works for.
Yeah, that's nice. You've done it on a per seat pricing. I feel like that's sort of the best practice because it scales with the size of your firm. So
that's right.
Makes me want to get into the audit game.
Well, and the other thing too is it's just based on the firm user seats, right? Everything else is free. Unlimited clients, unlimited file storage, unlimited engagements. We don't want you to be held back and saying like, I'm billed on a per engagement basis. Do I actually need to use Suralink for that? Like, we don't want that to be your thought process. Like, use the application, use it with all your clients, use it for all your engagements. Like, that's really where we've seen, the time savings and the value. And we don't want our customers thinking like, is it worth it for this one? Like, it's worth it.
Any more questions, David?
I don't have any. This is very deep, and visually, I'm very impressed with the app. For as complicated as it feels light, if that's the right right way to describe that. It feels very light for a heavy engagement type software.
Yeah, but it's a challenge because if we have been previously organizing our audits in Excel, we're used to having that flexibility of being able to see a lot on one page, but that also creates complexity. And it feels like you've done a nice job of like meeting us where we are, in that I can get that high level view, but I can also drill down into the engagement, which I couldn't do in the Excel view necessarily. If I had like a sheet for all my engagements, and then I had a separate sheet for every single audit that I'm working on, like that's very nice.
Yeah. And that's what I like to say is like really the magic of Suralink is the way that it's laid out, the efficiency and that you can really gain. And just like I say, how easy it is for the clients to adopt. Like, it's so hard to put something new, a new piece of software in front of your clients, and frankly, a scary proposition. But I'll tell you, there have been so many clients that have told their firm, like, if you ever leave Suralink, like, I'm going to go find a firm that has Suralink. So, it's been pretty impressive, as well as, firms that have made acquisitions of, maybe a smaller firm that's using Suralink. A larger firm will kind of catch wind of it and be like, what's going on? Hold on, And so we've been able to see, expansion into other firms just because, maybe a smaller firm has been using it, they get acquired and it's like, oh yeah, we need to get on this. So
We got a few
exciting.
minutes left, so will you indulge me in a question about the API?
Yeah.
You mentioned the API, right? What
Yeah.
is, like, if I want to get really advanced and I
Yeah.
want to plug Suralink into other stuff,
Yes.
what can I do? What is accessible via the API
Yeah.
for my
That
firm?
is a great question. If you want to pull up this shared screen, this is our API documentation. So this is available publicly, developer.suralink.com. All of our available endpoints are here. And we've spent a lot of time really building this out with firms to help enable those workflows that are most important to them. So you think about kind of the start of the process, right? In my CRM, I've acquired a new client and I've acquired this business for this client. So you can automate the creation of that client in Suralink as well as the engagement for that specific job. So anytime I get a new line of business with that customer or with that client, then it can automatically flow, create that engagement, pull from the templated request list in there. So I can create clients, do everything I need to with the engagements. I can also, on the other side of it, right, when we're done with the engagement, I can pull all of those files out. I can extract all those documents, put them in our work paper software, and then do the auto roll forward, auto archive, all of that through the through the API here. And so it really, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask, it looks like there's a lot. I didn't mean to cut you off, but like one thing I'm really curious about is like, how could we integrate this with AI?
Mm-hmm.
In the sense that, like, we know that OpenAI, Anthropic, they have everything's accessible via the API. And David and I have been talking a lot about this on our podcast, on the accounting podcast. We've been talking about how maybe like some testing or sampling or even initial review of work papers could be done by AI agents in the near term, very soon. Could we, like, when a client marks off something as complete and we accept it, could we like send it through the API to an AI agent? Do you have that level of
Absolutely.
API?
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. And in fact, Blake, look, you're speaking my language, because that is the direction we're going, right? We want to, make this process even better. So some of the features that we're going to be working on in 2025 is not only the ability to just like preview a document in Suralink. Right now, you just have to download them, but the ability to preview, to, review, maybe use AI to ask questions to see if this is actually the right document that I need. So,
right. That would be an easy one, right? Is like, did the client submit the document that I asked them to submit?
Yeah.
An AI agent could do that right now. I could upload the wrong document and it could tell me this is the right or the wrong document. Yeah.
Well, that really is the vision, right? To help the client as well. So if the client uploaded like, this doesn't look right for what they asked for, maybe try again, right? And so as well, so not only making the firm more efficient, but helping the client users be more efficient.
Yes.
And so that's really one of the big visions and things that we're executing here in the next year that I'm so excited about it. It's really hard to contain, that excitement. There's so much we can do and so much more that we've got that just really
I can't say how important that is for our listeners, our viewers, is when you pick technology that you put in, you don't want to have to pull it out.
Yeah.
Because it's a big investment in training the clients. So pick something that is future-proofed with API access so that you can take advantage of these AI tools, for instance, or other apps that you integrate into your firm in the future. So Ryan, it's great to see that has been built into Suralink from the beginning.
Yep.
So,
and it's important to us. I mean, you saw from the research that I kind of did at the start, we are tuned in with the industry, right? We want to know what our clients are doing in the system. We want to know what they think would make it better, and so we're launching new products and features all the time. So we've got a New Year's treat that will be coming out for clients, an ability to mark a request as a high priority. So we're going to be launching that soon. We've got a lot of features that are going to be rolling out here and help them during busy season and beyond. So just excited to continue to connect with our clients and help make Suralink the best application that they use at the firm.
To learn more about Suralink, go to suralink.com. That is SURALINK.com. Stay tuned for a brief message about how to earn CPE for joining us today. Ryan, thanks so much. David, I'll see you around soon on another Earmark Expo.
Thank you.
Today's event has ended. To earn CPE, go to earmark.app or scan the QR code on the screen. Then log in or create your free account. Search for the course by tapping on the magnifying glass icon on the home screen and then entering the name of this event. It takes a few days to make the course, so if you're attending this event live, keep an eye out for an email letting you know when the course is available. Pass the quiz to earn your CPE, then tap the button to email yourself a certificate. Stay tuned for more events from Earmark. Thanks for joining us, and we hope to see you again soon.